residential pond.
Okay, and I guess the reason you're coming before us is because the amount of
Mud.
soil or, I'm not,
Silt.
silt, that's the right word. Yeah, right, the amount of silt you're pulling out of there is more than the 60 cubic yards?
Right.
Okay. There's no tree impact on this whatsoever?
Nothing there.
Are there any trees around the pond that you're dredging?
No.
Absolutely,
That one's pretty simple.
absolutely none?
I do all my work on mats. Anyway, I sit on wooden mats.
Okay. Could I see that?
You bet. Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, so you can assure us that there's absolutely no trees near this pond?
There's no impact to trees over there at all.
Okay.
Here's a photo of that site. That's our access. Lawn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice spruce tree off to this side.
Okay.
But we're way out of the way.
Yep. Okay.
Okay? Should I share them with them?
No, that's fine. Okay. You guys good? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 517 Atterbury Road. Again, please step to the podium and introduce yourselves.
Good evening. My name is Mike Rufo. I have Michael Boker here from Omni & Associates, the engineer on the project. We are here representing 517 Atterbury Road. And we're returning after appearing at the July meeting. There was a request to review the location of the existing sanitary and follow up on its condition. And there was a good recommendation made that maybe we should camera that existing sewer line. So in lieu of cameraing it, we decided to plan for new installation for a number of reasons. One of them, we know what we're dealing with. Even if the camera and the pictures came back clean, we know what we have here if we install new. It eliminates the possibility of someone else coming back later on and digging under the tree and replacing it. And we have the room in the front yard actually to make it happen. I believe there was a handout given that would, as well as what I have here on the screen that demonstrates what our thought process is. In addition to that sanitary line, we were asked to lay in the, there's two trees on the front, or there are two trees on the front lawn, and we were asked to lay in the drip line of those trees onto the plan, of which we did as well.
The site plan that we just received,
Yes, sir.
is that the same as sheet number 2 on the larger set?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks.
This also has gone just, we submitted to the township engineer. We did get a review letter back, and as far as the sanitary line, everything is in good shape there. So what we propose to do is come out of the front of the home, perpendicular to Atterbury, and go straight to the street, and do our transition there down near the roadway.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I have a few questions for the applicant.
Yes.
I appreciate you showing the scale of the drip line. You have two concerns. The proposed sanitary lateral visibly goes through, albeit the edge of the drip line. And then the stormwater management system, what's shown as the actual outline of the system is just touching the drip line, but the overdig, so the slight overdig that you might have would take you in there. Did you consider at all putting your stormwater management system in a different location? I think that may have actually have been mentioned last week.
If it was mentioned, I missed it, and I apologize. I don't see that stormwater management, I don't see that impacting the trees there on an overdig. That the sanitary line is the line, if you look here.
It goes right through goes through under the canopy there. Sanitary
Yeah, it just clips the edge of that canopy. That's the sanitary line, sir.
Correct.
Okay.
And the stormwater management system clips the other tree over there, exactly where your engineer's
Oh,
pointing.
I see where you're at. Okay. Can we reshape it such? Does it have to be that shape, or can we clip that corner?
Unfortunately, this manhole ends here.
We can configure that. We can slide it a little bit. We can configure this right in here if we need to put a third plate and just a little bit, right? We can make that adjustment. Relocating it, I don't believe so, sir, because we do need a bubbler. But I do believe we can reconfigure the shape of it to avoid the canopy.
And the second question is, even though it will be a new line, which we all appreciate, sanitary, in theory, we never like those two to be so close together, and your engineer is going to know that because of
Yeah.
one's stormwater management, one's sanitary, so we always worry about infiltration.
Yep. Yeah, we did comply with the code, and we did go to the township engineer prior to coming here with that concern, because of one of the concerns.
So when you reconfigure it, you would do so that the sanitary sewer lateral is no longer under the drip line, and the stormwater management system is no longer under the drip line?
We can kick it. We can put a bend in that, yeah, and avoid that drip line, if you feel that necessary.
And just, on your next plan, don't connect to the manhole shell connecting into the main. But that's something our engineer might have overlooked, as opposed to a direct connection to the manhole. Would we be able to see a revised plan on that?
Certainly. Is that another meeting? Is that another month delay? Or,
No, if you
Is that
submit that, I mean, aside from the Shade Tree Commission's comments,
yep,
if you were to show us that,
certainly, sir.
It appears as though you've got a 30-inch maple. Do you know what species?
Does that help? Would you like me to pass it around?
Is that kind of a purple in nature?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, for your information, it's a crimson maple.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I've just been informed that it's first cousin to Norway, which we would probably not be worried about, except this one doesn't reseed itself. So it looks to be in good health, and it's not an invasive species. I concur with with Mr. Norsini that all of this needs to get kicked away further from that tree. Your sanitary is approximately 25 feet from the center of the tree. You've got a 30-inch maple, is what my scale is telling me. And your stormwater is about maybe 28, 29 feet. So Mr. Norsini is right. You're still within the drip line of that tree. So the further you can kick that, towards the driveway, the better off we would all be.
Okay.
You just want it outside the drip line?
No, that's what.
I mean, so just to save the tree.
Huh? To save the red, the maple?
Yeah.
And do you just want it outside the drip line?
No, we can, I'm just thinking.
Do you have a picture of the oak tree, too?
I do.
Okay.
And the oak tree is not in great health, although we were trying to save it, and I wonder if that's the appropriate thing to do, or we should just take that down.
It's having some issues with some leaf scorch problems. It does have a disease problem presently.
Yeah, we're going to try to save it.
Again, do you know what species of that? It looks, does that look to you to be the red oak? I can't tell
Yeah, I
from the
believe-
leaf.
Yeah, that's a red oak there.
I would kick it closer to the oak because that's already suffering. And then you will need,
This tree is suffering right now, so if you,
If you're okay with me leaving that and kicking it closer to that tree, we're going to try to preserve this just for sentimental reasons. The family is perfectly honest.
for sentimental reasons, okay, that's fine. But it's going to need maintenance,
We understand that.
okay? And they need to understand that it's probably on its way out.
and the closer you get to this, if you do move it, it's going to push that further into decline. Presently, it's losing leaves right now, So. And is there a chance, however, we could have them wrap this oak similar to how this maple's wrapped with tree protection fence?
Yes, as best they can, sure.
You have the maple pretty much wrapped all the way to the street there.
Yes, sir.
Could you possibly bring that tree protection all the way to the street around that oak tree too, to avoid anybody pulling up underneath of it?
Yes, sir, we can add that. We have silt fence. You may not see it as the light green, so there is protection there.
Okay.
That does continue down to the street. It would give it protection.
And it would really help if you could wrap it right down the driveway too, so you could keep the equipment from trying to drive underneath this, do you know what I mean? So you completely wrap that up.
We will certainly do that.
Okay, so we have all the details recorded. Great. Okay,
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for working with the township on those items. We appreciate that.
Next is 1300 Eagle Road, Eastern University.
Max Long with Associated Engineering Consultants. We are Eastern's engineers for the Internal Loop Road project.
Carl Altamere for Eastern University.
We had been before you once before, and the project was tabled then, and you had asked for an overlay plan to be submitted, and also for an arborist's opinion of an elm.
Oh, sorry.
For an elm that's located just south of the gymnasium, in between the gym and the creek that our road is crossing.
Pictures of the elm tree too? That'd be great.
Yes. I don't know if you have it, or did you want me to pass it around?
Yeah. Pretty nice tree, isn't it? It's a pretty nice tree. It's already in it.
And Eastern University had consulted with two different arborists on the condition of that elm, and both had similar responses that they would recommend that it would be taken out. That seems that it has a girdling root issue, and with the road going in, it just wouldn't make it if we tried to save it. It's when one of the tree's roots actually goes back and wraps around the main root system and actually ends up kind of strangling it and cutting it off. And some other changes that we had made on the landscaping plan. We had increased the caliper of the trees that we were putting in from 2.5 to 3 inch. We changed them out for 3 inch to 4 inch. And we also replaced a line of honey locusts that were alongside of the road, and we're instead going to replace them with an elm variety, since we're taking down two fairly large, decent elms. Thought it'd be nice to put them back in.
Do you know which, I'm sorry, I didn't see, do you know which elm variety you're using?
American elm. Ulmus americana.
You need to specify that there's a disease-resistant varieties that they have out now. You can't plant just a regular straight species American elm.
Okay.
So you might want to follow up with your landscape architect as far as what species they're going to replant to make sure it is a disease-resistant hybrid.
Okay. Take it the American elm itself is not disease resistant. It has to be a hybrid elm of some sort.
Yeah, it has to be a hybrid. They
Okay.
all died from Dutch elm disease. So there's a number of different cultivars out now that are disease resistant that you have to make sure you plant.
It'll have a completely different name, then it won't be called.
Well,
Ulmus.
it'll be in the same genus and species, but it'll have a cultivar name.
It'll have an X behind it, or cultivar.
Valley Forge or Delaware. There's Princeton. There's a number of different ones that are out now that are very good.
Good to know.
The, I mean, that's the reason for, when you see an American elm that's healthy, you want to do all you can to keep it, because there's not that many around. But if this one's not healthy and you're going to try to replace with elms, then you need to go to the disease-resistant ones, because you put the standard elm back in its place, and if there's any residual left from the Dutch elm disease, it'll hit the new ones that you plant.
Just for our point of reference on this, where this elm is, and our plan here, could you point out the picture here? This is the elm.
Yes.
So this existing bridge stays,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and there's an existing pathway that splits the tree
Right.
right at the end there. And,
So
we're
one part of
taking
that's
out-
going to go.
Yeah, taking out one of the branches of that pathway.
Between here and the new roadway.
There's about a foot and a half cover that's going in there. They will drop the roots right up close to the bridge.
Okay, so you're installing a culvert on top of that.
Yes, it's a wing wall for the bridge that kind of cuts out.
Okay, a wing wall for the bridge.
We had tried repositioning the road in many different configurations, but there's 48-inch ash that we would hit if we moved the bridge further to the east, and there's also a 42-inch tulip that's across on the other bank that would also be impacted.
But they won't be affected? If you put it where the road is now, they won't be affected?
Correct.
We're just looking at the possibility of that, there's another, that 48-inch elm on the other side.
Yeah.
Is that part of the buttress wall that's extending into that?
Yes. The bridge actually had to come up in order to fit the storm for the stream. The 100-year storm had to fit underneath the bridge, so due to grading, we had to bring the wing wall out that far.
Do you happen to know how many other elms you have on campus?
To be honest with you, no, I do not.
No.
Yeah.
Question. That one wing wall on the, I'll call it the downside of the picture, on the west side or the left side of the bridge there, it comes in on an angle, but it goes right into the root of that what, 48-inch elm tree. Only matter of my interest, is it be possible to make that straight rather than on an angle like that? Make the angle further up? See what I'm getting at?
I myself wouldn't be able to speak for the company. Yeah.
Okay.
The structural side of the bridge was put in place. I think that's the way the bridge comes. It's I think it's precast wing walls that we get.
The wing walls are precast? I mean, that could be very well be.
I don't know.
I'm an electrical engineer.
The
I don't think that's
structural
structure.
engineer is- She's on vacation this week, otherwise she would be here, Karen.
Right.
Max is good, but he's not completely familiar with the original plan, so, I mean, we could provide that information if you'd like, but it must have something to do with resistance to,
If that wall moved out like 15 feet closer to the pond before it went on an angle, would that make a difference, or would it still not help the tree at all? I'm asking these guys.
Mr. Norsini, whenever I see storm water systems like this, they usually are kind of at a 45-degree angle. Is that your experience?
They are usually at an angle to the culvert, and I don't know that and I think we actually discussed this at the last meeting, if there's a skew to the driveway as it crosses the stream, and I don't know if that skew was changed, how that would affect that. And, I mean, the grading's tied to the top of those walls and the bottom of the top of the walls, so,
Right.
yeah,
I
the
mean, if
reason-
that angle could change.
The reason that skews there is, A, we were concerned about that tree. The other is the turning radius is for going in here to make it an acceptable radius for
Working with the
larger
existing
trucks and
gymnasium.
whatnot.
The bus traffic.
Because the further you go this way, the closer you get here, and that radius goes away.
Ms. McManuels might be able to adjust that. I know it'll affect the grading if she does, but usually those box culverts, the boxes come in pieces, and then either the wing walls are poured or they're brought as pieces also. And she may be able to do something with that angle to address Mr. McCone's concern on the grading.
Yeah, we can take a look at it. There's also an existing storm discharge here too that it may impact, and I don't know, that would mean, I'm not sure where that is.
We're taking.
My question, okay, now I noticed that the footbridge, and I've been over it many times, is just a tiny bit up closer to the pond, right?
Yes.
What kind of foundation does that have? I mean, the next question is, could you put a straight line between the vertical wall, foundation wall at the bottom end of the new footbridge straight over to that, rather than put on an angle?
That's all poured concrete.
It's the loading issue. We need the we need to be able to support a bus driving across, so it needs to be larger.
Yeah,
And the way the stream comes over that bridge acts as there's a culvert underneath of it. There's like a waterfall, and so we need to account for the water that creeps in there.
Yeah, it has to have the PennDOT, I guess it's HG20 or something like that rating, so it's fully rated to go across there. It's the weight, so it'll take a full load.
it's worth asking a question, thank you.
No, so even if we skew the bridge, we'd still have to grade inside the drip line of that elm. Just to move the bridge closer to the pond.
Talking about moving the bridge, I'm only talking about the wing wall. Instead of having it on an angle, basically facing towards the bottom of the drawing, I'm just saying make it straight out,
Just have it come.
and just straight over towards where the end of the footbridge is.
I don't know, structurally, we'd have to have someone else answer that question.
Yeah. The grade really drops off fast on that stream bank,
Yeah, I know.
so we'd have to fill in behind it a lot.
Okay, well, it's worth asking. It's a shame because getting it that close will make that tree very difficult.
Karen had addressed that, so she really wanted to save that tree as well. I know she tried many times
Yeah.
to finagling for
No,
it all around.
I sense that, but it would be good when she comes back from vacation to weigh in with the engineering to verify what she did. We're looking at the possibility of swinging that whole bridge slightly further to the west. And at least then you could hold on to your 26-inch ash?
Over here. Okay. Do you want to angle it? Like, rotate it towards the elm that was previously in question? Or did you want to slide the whole thing upstream?
Can you slide the whole thing closer to your pedestrian path?
In doing that, we'd lose a 23-inch maple, a 19-inch ash, a 25-inch ash. We're currently bending the road around. And we can't have that turn too sharply, 'cause we need the buses to be able to have the turning radius to get over.
But it appears to us if you brought your driveway and then twisted your bridge just slightly to the northwest, your 26-inch ash is almost outside the drip line. It may be a grading issue, and if that's the case, then so be it. But we'd thought it would be worthwhile asking.
Well, this tapers off real sharp right there.
Here.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's not enough room. Yes. It's popping right out of the top of it.
I know this bridge is 2 foot higher than the footbridge currently is, so there's this kind of issue. I don't know the elevations, if that's a more fill issue or not, I don't know.
I just don't think there's enough room to slide.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
if I may, so maybe when Ms. McManuels is back, she could show us some cross-sections through that area. I think that would give everybody a real good look exactly what that grading is.
Okay. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to hold you up, but if Karen could provide that material to engineering upon her return and let the township engineering evaluate it and then give you the yay or nay. Is that appropriate?
Yes, sir. I would ask that they would come to the next Shade Tree meeting so that the Shade Tree Commission members can see those cross-sections, and that way you may be able to comment on that grading as well and how it affects the trees you just spoke of, and if you feel it's a worthwhile endeavor for them to slide that.
Again, the drip line for this 26-inch ash comes all the way over to the bridge as it is. So even sliding this over, you'd have to slide it over.
Would it be possible for us to just do a site visit to this site, just to take a look at the conditions of the trees that we may want to try to save, and if it's worthwhile or not?
I think you'd have to call a Shade Tree Commission meeting at the site, because if you'd have a quorum, it would be a meeting. I'm always up for a field trip.
Well, if it was yourself and 2 of us, would that be sufficient?
I don't know. I mean, I think I don't have our solicitor here to give me an exact answer. My thought would be, if the commission is going out there, it should be a meeting, it should be a quorum, and if Ms. McManuels can provide either a profile or some cross-sections, that might help you. Whatever this commission wishes to do, but I think it would have to be an advertised meeting that we are going out there to, not that anybody has to come necessarily other than us, but we'd have to go out there and take a look at that.
What's the advertising requirement, 10 days?
If you're correct, Mr. McCone.
It's Doug. Even if we were to decide today what day we were going to do it, we'd have to do it like a week and a half from now.
Yeah.
Or you can do it a week prior to the next month's meeting, so at least then there'll be plenty of time.
But are we going to require that they come back before we give them the okay to do this, I assume?
My recommendation, sir, would be to have them come back, because I think we're talking about some significant changes if the commission wishes to try to slide that culvert, and it would be beneficial to see that final product on paper for your benefit.
Okay, understood.
So what's,
Okay, so we're recommending that you look at the possibility of sliding that to the northwest, and then also having Ms. McManuel's give us a cross section.
Where would you like the cross section? Just straight through the center line?
Yeah, I think that would be the appropriate place to give us the cross section.
that's the center line of the bridge?
Yes.
Do you also want to see the, where, that one tree, which is right along the edge of the bank, do you want to see a cross-section on that? Would that be difficult to do?
I believe we already have the cross sections drawn. I don't know if the township already has those cross sections.
With the grading permit, I'm not
submit
sure
this?
if it's there
Okay.
or not.
We have the cross section for through the bridge. It would be a matter of making another one for the section of the stream with the ash.
Is that hard to do, or is it easy to do? I don't want to put you in a lot of trouble.
It wouldn't be hard.
Have to be done sooner or later anyway, if it's not, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go through the tree as well.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okey-doke. Thank you.
Okay, item 4 is 615 Newtown Road.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Joe Orsali, landscape architect, land planner. We thought it would be a good idea to introduce this project to you at the early stage before it gets too far along. We know that the project was before this board a few years ago. It was a subdivision at that time. However, the subdivision was never formally filed. I don't believe it was recorded. In any case, the applicants in this case 615 Newtown Road Associates, represented here this evening by Mr. Jim Gorman and Alex Wasloff. Before I get into the project, I'd like to just very briefly have Alex come and give you an overview of what he's planning to do here that has a bearing on the entire project. He'll be brief, and I'll get to the project if you don't mind. If you could just give you a brief introduction.
We appreciate that.
Good evening. My name is Alex Wasloff. My wife and I are 13-year residents of Radnor. We built a home here 13 years ago, raised 3 children who have all left us now, started their own families, and we find ourselves in a empty nester stage of our lives with a house that's way too big and no longer appropriate for our lifestyle, except for the fact when I try to hide from my wife to get out of the honey-do list, I do have places to hide today. Anyway, my wife and I, along with some other friends of ours, Jim and his wife Trish Gorman, have been discussing for a number of years where are we going to live the next time around. Hopefully someday we'll be able to sell our large homes and relocate to something that is more conducive to our new stage in life and our lifestyle. What we'd like to do and what we've been looking for a couple of years is move into a smaller home with the same amenities and features that our larger home has. Not easy to find in this part of the world. We'd also like to live in a community of similar type homes so that we can create an environment that, again, not only for us personally, but for the community that we create around this new living standard. As we discussed this with our friends, it turns out that many of them are looking for the same thing. And it just does not exist to the level of detail that we would like to see it here in Radnor. And we don't want to move away. Our friends are here, our charity work is here, our hearts and souls have become part of the community. And so we said, well, if we can't find it, maybe we can build it. A number of months ago, Jim and I were driving down Newtown Road. We saw the for sale sign at the Atterbury Estate. We drove in and just fell in love with the property. It is picturesque. It is a parkland setting. It has some enormous heritage trees. It is in a phenomenal location. And at that point in time, the owners of the property had gone through a process of 4 years ago putting the property on the market, trying to sell it as one parcel. They tried doing that for a number of years without success. They then went through a process of breaking it down into 5 lots. And again, the intent at that point in time was to create large estate homes inside this property on 4 of those lots, tearing down the existing structures on the property. And again, they had no takers on that strategy. And so Jim and I have been pursuing, working with the township staff for a number of months now, trying to create a plan that would support the type of community that I described a few minutes ago. We think we have a plan that works. We presented that plan preliminarily to the Planning Commission. Very pleased to say that we got very strong support for what we wanted to do. We got some great recommendations of ways we might alter the plan that Joe will describe to you that will make it even more conducive to saving trees and protecting the environment. We presented it to the Board of Commissioners last week. We got what I deem to be a very strong review of our preliminary plans and what appeared to be unanimous support, assuming that we continue to develop the plans and meet all the criteria. which we think we can do and we believe we have done. So we're here in front of you today asking you to start thinking about what we're proposing, to get your input so that we can incorporate it in the final stages of our plans, and really express to you that we're here to protect as much of the natural environment as we can, to protect as many trees as we can. Where we can't do that, to replenish those trees that we have to take out with new plantings, and really to let you know that we are not doing this as a means to create a community for others. Our primary interest is to create a community first off for ourselves. The 8-lot subdivision that we're planning includes saving the 200-year-old farmhouse that's on the property and building 7 new, what we're referring to as cottage homes. Smaller homes than what we're used to. That'll be actually support a price point on the land that exists there today. We have, I'm probably getting into some of Joe's dialogue right now, but we have an arborist that has done an inventory of the trees. And it's really, we want to create a very unique community in Radnor. We're looking for your support and we're looking for your help to do it the right way. So I'll bring Joe back up and he can give you the details. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Just briefly, I won't spend a great deal of time, but I think it's important just to run over some of the criteria or some of the interesting facets of the site that have a bearing on what we want to do out here. If you look at this plan, it's basically the same plan we sent you, but it's been rendered up to emphasize a few things. The site, of course, is bounded on Newtown Road to the north, Chandler Lane to the south, Sproul Road to the east, and the Friends Meeting also to the east, and an existing single-family subdivision, very handsome subdivision to the west. The current driveway from the Newtown Road comes down past the estate house, past the barn, and then proceeds off the property in an easement that crosses 2 existing residents to the west. The applicant has made arrangements with those owners to get rid of that easement and to bring that driveway up to Newtown Road, thereby preventing any disturbance to those 2 properties. And the township supported that, and I think in the previous subdivision. The interesting thing about this site, it falls approximately 60 feet from Newtown Road, north to south. There's Van Leer's Run. It's a tributary that runs into Lytham Creek. And all this entire area down along the stream is basically wetlands, floodplain, riparian buffer. So basically everything you see along that blue area will never be disturbed. Interesting enough, there's another piece of the parcel that's on the east side of Sproul Road that contains Lytham Creek. It's adjacent to the Conestoga Swim Club, that will be placed in a conservation easement, again leaving it unbuildable and open for forever. The other interesting aspect beside the trees on the site is that there are significant slopes along Newtown Road, some of which are steep slopes, heavily wooded, and there again, it's our intent to stay out of those areas completely. The trees here are represented on your plan have just been covered up. There's approximately 300 trees based on our survey that was done some time ago. John Hosbach is currently completing his survey, and he will give us the detailed number of different trees, varieties, and the status of those individual trees. We estimate there's between 24 and 30 heritage trees, approximately 10 or so. We're not sure about their condition, but John will tell us. So it's really premature to get into individual tree things at this point, but we wanted to tell you what we're doing. We're now into the land development phase where we'll start to do the grading and engineering, and it's at that stage we'll take John's information and adjust the grading and the positioning of houses and things that would impact these trees. The concept is fairly simple. We're going to try to bring the new driveway, a cul-de-sac road, as a private road, try to keep the road to a minimum of 24 feet, which we're permitted to do, perhaps to make this even a private road with the township's blessing, and we've gotten some feedback that we can do that. We may need a waiver, however, on the right-of-way width. The right-of-way width on a standard road is 60 feet, public road. If we could reduce this down to 28 feet, it would again allow the houses to be shifted closer to the road, thereby saving any disturbance on the slopes to the north and towards the riparian buffer to the south. So it makes sense. The closer we get the houses to the road, the better. We put this forth to the Planning Commission conceptually, and I believe they actually voted in favor of that waiver. So we're very thrilled by that. The second thing we're working on is looking at the front yard setback, which again is a 60-foot setback. This is a typical cross-section showing the existing grade that runs from Newtown Road down to Van Leer's Run. And the steep slopes, the slopes along Newtown Road are shown wooded, and then the gray area represents the so-called buildable area of that particular lot. The same thing is true on the low side of the site, Lot 6. You can see Van Leer's Run and a riparian buffer establishes a line to the south. So the narrower we make the setbacks along the front roadway, if we can reduce the roadway right-of-way to 28 feet, and then further reduce the front yard setback from 60 feet to some other lower dimension, it would give us a lot more space to move the houses forward to the new road. Along with that, obviously, would be a good reduction in the amount of impervious paving. We have a lot more work to do on that issue, but we wanted just to bring that to your attention because we believe it's to the benefit of saving more trees and more of the natural features of that site. If we could, number one, get the waiver for the reduction in the right-of-way and also the waiver for the front yard setback. I might mention under the density modification ordinance, which is part of the township code, they do permit a much less dimension for a front yard setback. I believe it's 35 feet. We even tried to design this subdivision under that scenario. However, the lot area must be 20 feet for the lot density modification requirement. One last thing, along Newtown Road, we're having a discussion about what should happen up there insofar as sidewalks are concerned. I believe the applicant has agreed to provide we may need a variance for this, but we may need to get a variance in order to not provide sidewalks in the true sense of concrete sidewalks, but do a gravel path that would meander through the trees up there.
That's along Newtown Road? Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
I'm sorry?
There's no variance required.
I think it is, but it doesn't matter.
As I recall, the Planning Commission asked for that, but it's not an obligation. But it'd still be nice.
Would you rather just see these, or can I put them down here? Sorry?
So people at home can see them too.
You can see here along Newtown Road, this is looking towards the entrance to the site. The site is on the right-hand side. You can see the heavy vegetation, and to put sidewalks along that road would obviously create a major problem. Here's a shot of the entrance into the existing cottage, which is going to be retained. Many of the large heritage trees are along this driveway, which will, as you can see in this photograph. It's an absolutely gorgeous site, as you probably know. One of the benefits of the lot averaging, which we took advantage of, was we were able to save the existing estate house. Under the by right R1 zoning classification, we would have had difficulty saving that house. But because the lot averaging allows us flexibility in the sizes of the lots, we can go under an acre. It also provides the opportunity to lessen the width of the lot from 120 to 90 some feet. That gives us the flexibility to place these lots and situate them in such a way to work with existing trees, with steep slopes, the buffers, and all that goes into this beautiful site.
Okay, so that kind of answers one of the questions I have. You showed a previous plan that indicated the Lot 7 had a similar size house as the rest of the lots. And the plan that I'm looking at is suggesting Lot 7 holds on to the existing mansion.
I'm sorry, I have the wrong one.
That's the plan I'm discussing. Right, that's the one we have before us now. But the one you had up previously showed the house was a similar size to the other lots. So you're saying that's not the case. You're able to hold on to this configuration. Okay, thank you.
Now, does that require, as I remember from the Planning Commission, that only if you were able to narrow the road and reduce the setbacks were you to be able to keep the mansion house? If you had to comply with the 60-foot wide stuff, it would make it difficult to do that. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct, Doctor.
All right.
I believe you're correct. The point is, we worked very, very hard. We did numerous schemes to try to save that house and the trees associated with it, and we believe this is an excellent solution to that plan.
Okay, what I'm seeing that's come before us, I have no objection to. Anyone else here? I think what, as they say, the proof in the pudding is going to be when you actually place your lot plan on your existing plot plan, the one with the existing trees and buildings. And at that point, we'll be able to better advise you as to maybe what might need to be twisted this way or that way.
Well, that's why we wanted to be here tonight, just to give you an introduction. We realize a lot of work has to be done. We want to massage the grading around these trees, and we will do that.
Okay.
We would appreciate any support of our variance. I don't know if that's appropriate to ask you guys, but when we get to that point, if there's a chance that we can justify asking for that variance for the front yard setback, we think it's excessive, and we think we can save more trees. And I don't know how we would go about that, but perhaps the second time we come around, we can make it more specific as to what we're looking for. Okay?
Okay. No, I think we would support that issue, but that's beyond our control. But I truly thank you for at least introducing us to the project. I think we all do.
I do have a question. The narrowing the right of way of the road, does that mean that there are more trees that don't get hammered, if you will? If you're narrowing the right of the way of the road from what it was. Is that, how many, hopefully you'll be able to tell us how many trees that saves at some point, not now, but.
By reducing the right-of-way? Absolutely. Was the question, will we save trees? Yeah, absolutely. And equally important is it will reduce the amount of disturbance back further away from the back lots as well. So not just in the area of the right-of-way, but further back on the lot. We can pull the houses closer, and that'll save trees in the rear and also the southern rear of the site as well.
Mr. Norsini, do you have any weigh-in on this?
Mr. Chairman, staff did meet with the applicant and Mr. Rosati and their engineer, and we were very happy with the ideas they brought forth as far as the site in general, from a stormwater management standpoint, from the sidewalk on Newtown Road, and their wish to save trees and respect the riparian buffers. We also spoke to them about the other parcel across. There's an additional piece that's really not buildable, but we asked if there could be some type of easement where the township may be able to use it for stormwater management or somewhere along that, and the applicant has been amenable to all those suggestions.
Okay, thank you. And again, thank you.
Thank you all.
Right. Okay. Do we have a hazardous tree report? I think I saw one in my shuffle here. I can't find it. There it is. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, action tree regarding the red oak and a pin oak at Valley Forge that was recently removed. They are suggesting that both these trees were at least 50% dead. And had signs of the oak leaf scorch. I guess my only question on this particular one is action tree licensed in this township? Okay, great. Okay,
Has this already happened?
it has already happened.
This is the second time.
I believe they're responding.
Is this the initial letter, Sue, from the spring when when the trees were cut down, or is this the second time?
Oh,
So the
so
state,
these were the ones that perhaps were more near the tennis courts? Okay, because that's the one that happened like 2 months ago or so.
right.
Additional. And how did they respond to the ones that happened initially?
They had submitted the letter, the certified letter from the arborist, and township staff had accepted it. That's the one that had the big holes in the center.
Okay. All right.
I guess a question I have, there were a couple things evolving here with Valley Forge, with tree removal there. I know they went ahead and removed some because they were in dangerous conditions. What was the total number of trees that were removed, I would say, from the spring up to this point, counting this? Was it 6 or 7? Because I've driven by there a number of times, and I know they had quite a bit of, tree work, arborist work going on there. What would you say that they removed? There were trees removed from around the tennis courts, the basketball courts?
Yes, but the ones around the tennis court were not in our township.
Oh, okay.
They were in
Right over
True
at the
Different
line?
or Eastern.
Okay.
They were on the other side.
Okay.
Okay. An item that has been somewhat left over from a previous meeting is the ordinance, the revised ordinance for Radnor Township's Shade Tree Commission. I'd like to just put some issues on the table, not that they have to be resolved tonight, but I want to formalize the discussion more. I've reviewed the ordinance. I've reviewed many of the comments. I think we all have reviewed many of the comments that have come from the various commissions. And although I can appreciate the viewpoints of those comments, I would like to stress the fact that this particular revision has been put together with some very professional advice from a consulting arborist, from Jim, myself, and Bill Thomas when he was still on the board. And this has also been reviewed by Radnor's legal counsel. And I think this ordinance is relatively, in all, a very good ordinance revision. And I have some minor things that I will be sharing with the rest of the group this week. But they are very minor. For example, the commission shall be comprised of 7 residents. I'm not so sure 7 is the right number, perhaps 5. I mean, right now we're down to 4 and we're having a difficult time finding a 5th. And there's some other minor things in here. But we will be getting back to the township shortly with that because I really do want to get this approved. Are there any other comments from you all regarding that topic?
Are we going to make a recommendation on it sometime soon?
The question was, are we going to make a recommendation sometime soon? I would hope to have that recommendation within the next 2 weeks. Okey doke. That concludes tonight's Shade Tree Commission meeting, and we'll see you in September.